because I've been playing WoW since vanilla, and I mean, when I saw your application, the email, you wanted to talk a lot about the stuff, the lore, especially the lore. Like I haven't had the chance to kind of read most of the lore. It's just everything's just like main from the game itself, the storyline, the main
Yeah,
storyline. I haven't like had pick up the book or anything like that to kind of start reading it and knowing more about the lore.
yeah.
So, do you have a lot of knowledge in that?
I can talk about some stuff. I definitely think like when we're talking about like WoW Classic Plus, I know that's probably not the way they're going to go with how the resources.
Mm-hmm.
It's just going to be a lot cheaper for them to do WoW Classic Burning Crusade.
Sure, man.
But definitely like there's a lot of potential with Hyjal. Exploring. You know, we see a lot of this damage with in Felwood. From Archimonde's invasion,
Mm-hmm.
which they kind of covered in Warcraft 3.
I see.
Or it was one of the Warcraft RTSs. I didn't play a lot of them, but that you see all the corruption, and that was kind of just from the invasion of Archimonde when he attacked the Night Elves, and that was about like a couple thousand years ago, I think. But yeah, I can definitely talk about that, and I just some stuff with I like doing paladin farming and like theory crafting. I really am a fan of this hybrid build I've been doing.
Cool,
So
man. Yeah.
yeah.
Speaking of Archimond, where did he originated from?
Well, he's one of the. So if you know Sargeras, he's one of the Titans of if I don't know if you follow there's basically in the Warcraft universe, the mythos is that there are these beings. I think they've updated it now with how many times they've released
Mm-hmm.
updates and stuff. But they're the Titans. They're these mythical beings that are basically born out of planets. They created this pantheon of Titans, which were born. They're basically the first bodies or things in the universe to gain sentience. And they eventually moved on, and they started shaping planets. They felt that it was their mission to find other Titans and bring them to life. That's why we're on Azeroth,
Mm-hmm.
which is basically like one of the Titans. It's like an egg.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole other conversation. But basically one of the Titans went corrupt. His name is Sargeras, and Sargeras created this thing because basically he fought all that was the primordial evil in the universe. And after years and like eons of fighting this darkness, he realized that it was just impossible to overcome it. So he was like, "Well, if you can't fight it, join them." And so he created the Burning Legion, and the Burning Legion has it's a bunch of demons, and it's led by three of the chief lieutenants are Kil'jaeden, Archimonde, and those are the two big ones we really cover in
Mm-hmm.
the Warcraft universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of like ways to kind of explain where they come from, and uh, Sargeras is like the top, one of the top
Yeah.
guys, right?
Yep.
And who's above him? It's
In
the
terms of who's above him,
Titans,
it's
right?
yeah. I mean the tight. So in retail, we had Antorus at the end of Legion, and that was
Mm-hmm.
basically we worked with Magni and a bunch of other forces, and we freed the Titans, which basically the other Titans Sargeras had killed, and their spirits had fallen across the universe. And that's also a really important thing because they didn't really cover it that much in the lore. But when the Titans were killed, their essences actually went into like the dragon aspects because they represented the Titan keepers.
Okay.
Because originally, when the Titans were killed, there were Titan keepers like Raden. Um, you know, that's a big one we talk about in the game. And basically, when Sargeras killed um, Amenthul, who was the head of the Pantheon, Amenthul's spirit went into Raden, and that's you know, that power was later transferred to the dragon aspects like Alexstrasza, Malygos, Neltharion,
So,
Ysera.
so the does that include Deathwing, the one of the
Yeah,
dragon
it
aspect?
does. Yeah, Neltharion's Deathwing. It's just that's his like original name. He took the name Deathwing once he was corrupted.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
man, I gotta get more into this kind of stuff. It's
it's
that's.
it's.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say it's just it's a 4 hour talk.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
had like a lot of great references for lore like Nobble on YouTube. He's I think he's Swedish or something like that, but he's from Europe and he covers a lot of lore. They do a lot of like machinima videos on the lore and stuff like that, which are
Yeah, that's pretty cool stuff, man. I think that's what I lack the most is the storyline, because when I started playing WoW, I never cared about like reading the quest and stuff. It was my first time I was like immersed into it by like leveling, playing with my friends, and the most important stuff I just kind of just went in the back of my head. It just went over me, and they didn't care for it.
yeah.
I regret it.
I mean, it's a whole entire, they've really fleshed out, the Warcraft history, and it's changed a lot. Back when I started playing, like I started playing in Burning Crusade, and I kind of the extent to which I knew about WoW lore was just the small quest I did. I originally my first character was a Blood Elf Paladin,
Mm-hmm.
and so I started out in the Blood Elf starting area. And I did all these small quests, and you see there's the in the starting area for the Blood Elves, there's that giant scar, and you're like, what the hell? What the heck is this?
Mm-hmm.
You see all these undead, and you're like, how? It's such a pretty area, and you see the stark contrast between the dead, and you think something happened, and that was kind of what got me started in like looking at the lore. I was young, so I didn't really understand it, and especially there's a lot of mature themes that I really couldn't comprehend.
Sure, yeah.
But as I went on, it's just I've been learning it over the years. I really want to put more time into refreshing myself because they've released these collections of stories and like art books, and the art books are like a really good source for kind of understanding because a lot of characters in the WoW universe, like they didn't have like a visual representation for a very long time. Like N'Zoth, he was only first his picture was only released in Hearthstone, I think, first, and then finally we're at the patch in retail where they're showing it all in
Mm-hmm.
his physical model.
Mm-hmm.
But it goes for a lot of other things, like they'll show a picture of a Titan and they'll like give some background context, like this is Aman'Thul, he's the head of the Pantheon, his powers are such and such, he was such and such, and it talks about that.
And as far as my understanding about how do you pronounce it? Zenoth? Zenoth?
And Zoth, I think
Anzoth?
it's like, yeah,
So as far as my understanding with him, it's like an entity rather than something physical form. He's just showing us like all the players like what they want to see, right? So
yeah, I
he's like
think
an entity instead of like a being.
yeah, I think it has to go with the nature of his powers, right? Because you see that in Zoth is like how he's been influencing the Warcraft game, especially, has been through like mental manipulation. Like that's why they call the patch Visions of N'Zoth,
Mm-hmm.
because he's so caught up in messing with your mind and manifesting your worst nightmares. It's kind of similar to like like in Ulduar and Wrath of the Lich King, that we fought Yogg Saron. During part of the fight with Yogg Saron, we go into his mind. We see these events, during like the invasion of Stormwind and the slaying of King Rin,
Mm-hmm.
which was kind of covered with Garona, this character we see in Warlords of Draenor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's just the nature of their influences. They they basically when you they mess with your minds, basically.
Sure.
Sorry.
And and no, it's fine, man. Just this is your time. This is your night.
Yeah.
I don't limit anybody from talking when they come in here. It's just, and especially like even though you're alliance, we have this common of we have this implicit uh, mentality where it's like if you see each other in the battlefield, we'll fight, but at the same time, we can talk about anything.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
it's one of those
It's always
things.
great to hear the other perspective.
So you play retail then, I assume?
Yeah, I played retail a lot. I'm taking a break, and I'll probably come back when Shadowlands comes out. I'm really excited for that.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing for me. Like I wanted to, I played retail because I always wanted to like know the storyline. Like I said, I'm into that now, but not as hardcore as I would like to be. But I would like to see more of that story and lore. And let's say, like, I haven't had a chance to play the previous patch because of classic. I just want to
Yeah.
just play classic. And I don't know if I'm gonna go back to retail. I might try the new expansion coming out just to see what it's like.
Yeah, and just something along the lines of like, us being historians is like, we see that there's a giant mystery going on in retail right now, and especially current WoW lore with back in Legion when the war chief Vol'jin died. Basically, before he died, he said some spirits told him to appoint Sylvanas as war chief. A lot of people are like, well, why is this? Because she's crazy. She's kind of on the warpath. She doesn't really care about the living, when the Horde is mainly composed of living races.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, there's a whole quest line that they've done recently in BFA. That they've talked about like who appointed Sylvanas. You talk with Vol'jin's spirit, and you keep going, and eventually it kind of leaves it open ended. Like you talk to Pwamsandi, which he's basically like the troll, like death god,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, oh man, I hope that he doesn't find out, and they like why I did this, or it wasn't why he did this, but he was just basically referencing that someone, a higher power, kind of told him and told Vol'jin on his deathbed that he was gonna basically make her war chief.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something they want to explore more in Shadowlands, because Shadowlands we're going into the afterlife.
Yeah.
They've kind of referenced characters like the Jailer.
Yep. No doubt.
None of
Yeah.
us really, none of us really know who he is, but like, there's some people are speculating that's something above him, because Sylvanas is kind of capturing the Jailer.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really cool. It's just like, it's like mysteries, and we can hear things from Blizzard, but I think they also kind of wanted us to take it into our own hands, and that's because we're basically marketing the franchise for them when we do this. We're creating enough support.
And they have to be cryptic about this, otherwise,
Yeah.
it'll be just, oh, here's some piece of candy, you can eat it right away. But
Yeah, what fun would it be?
Yeah.
If they told us everything.
Do you have an idea who the Jailer is? Like, do you have your own theory?
I think it's a new character. I genuinely think he's someone we haven't encountered before. I think we all love our characters that we've grown up with, especially, or we've followed for many years. Like Raytheon, Anduin. I think they're trying to take the role of characters we've lost, like King Variant Rin, Vol'jin, Garrosh, stuff like that. They just definitely want to create new characters, and I think that's a good thing, because I don't think I would be honestly bored if there's this area in the Shadowlands called the Maw, and that's apparently where all like the really bad souls go, and people speculate that Arthas went there after we killed him in Wrath of the Lich King.
Sure.
I would really be mad if they were something like, oh, the Jailer is like some manifestation of Arthas, or Arthas was involved somehow. I would love to see all the old characters in the Shadowlands, but I don't really want them to be influencing what's been going on. I just think that seems kind of like I don't mean to be crass here, but like an ass bowl.
Yeah. Cliche. Yeah.
Yeah, for
And-
sure.
And I thought the first thing that they were gonna mention when they announced Shadowlands is the talent tree, and I was really hoping for that, but nothing changed. I mean, it's still not too late, but what do you think of the talent trees? Like, if they go back to an actual talent tree that that Vanilla had.
I really love the talent trees. But I think it's a difference in philosophy. Retail's kind of, as much as people don't want to admit it, it's kind of trying to cater to that casual player that has only so much time in the day and kind of only understands so much. Me and you, we're both very enfranchised players with World of Warcraft. We love the game, and we want to do these like complex things like theory crafting and creating our own custom builds and focusing on things.
Yeah.
But I think I just think it's a different philosophy. I think it's fine if retail wants to do that. I'm kind of glad we have Classic, because some of us can fall back to what we were used to.
Yeah. Also, like, it's a nostalgia. Like, it's not even that, really. Like, something to like play, like coming home from work and sitting down and play like a couple hours a night, or maybe like a few hours a week. And I figured my schedule.
I think one thing just to mention on in terms of for retail versus Classic, it's really interesting, because what I love about Classic is it's so simple, and there's so much you can do, but I'm not being bombarded by a million things to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like when I log on to retail, it's like I get this smack dab UI window in my face that says like, oh, new patch content. Here's everything. I have to do my dailies. I have to do my mythic
You're
dungeons for the week and to get my chest, and I have to do all this. But there's kind of a beauty in classic where I can just get on. I hang out with some friends. But, I'm working on my Thorium Brotherhood rep right now.
mm-hmm,
I just that's kind of a goal, but it's not in my face, and no one's telling me to do it.
mm-hmm.
I get to hang out with my guildies, and I get to do MC and Oni every week, and it's kind of nice. And we're also just working towards Blackwing Lair, which I'm sure a lot of your viewership, your viewer base, and even you're probably working on.
It's pretty awesome to have you here, and like I'm still like kind of thinking about the fact that talking to an alliance, man, we couldn't do this. We could have done this like back in vanilla, but nobody like searched for anything like this to talk to another faction because
Yeah, for sure.
yep. And
You know,
and oh, go ahead.
sorry.
Sorry, fine.
Oh no, I was just gonna mention one thing. You know, I'm sure like you on the Horde side have your own like server celebrities and stuff like that, and we have our own little like alliance community on Deviate Delight as well. I don't know if you've heard of the character like Lightning Hoof, but he's kind of become like a server alliance meme,
Oh, I
and
see.
yeah,
Yeah,
so it's kind of funny.
we have. I just interviewed our server meme. His name is Raging Cajun. I don't know if you've
Okay.
ever heard of him.
Oh no, I haven't.
That so that's the thing too. That which is cool. It's like you guys, you don't know anybody like the mostly in Horde side. Like you do not know what's going on. Like I don't know what's going on your side either. So it's
Yeah.
like I thought about creating another character or get another account just to create an alliance on this server and just to kind of advertise my podcast, and that'll be the point. I won't like level or anything like that. Maybe like from here on out, well, from time to time, if I want to see, maybe if I want to see Dead Mines once in a while or something, go there and on my level 10 or Stockade or something like. I mean, I'm not. I mean, I could go there now if I really wanted to, but the whole point of I wanted to, make a character there is to kind of know the alliance community as well, and
Yeah.
from leveling to maybe 1 to 20 or maybe like even to 30, I might be able to kind of figure out what it's like. But obviously it's kind of hard because that involves money, and that's another $15 a month right there,
Yeah.
and I don't know if I can afford that. But
I guess you.
but at the same time, if I just advertise, maybe I can use this communication tool that I have, and kind of know the alliance side, and as far as people explaining it to me, maybe I can kind of conjure like a thought of what I think alliance are like.
Yeah, and thank you for giving me the opportunity. I love talking about stuff. I hear all these podcasts, and I just love talking. And at the end of the day, like we mentioned Alliance Horde. At the end of the day, we're all just we're Warcraft fans. We all love the game, and we all have something important to contribute to the community. Whether it's through memes or like just actually just playing the game and being a part of the community. And something I want to plug is you know we see like we have our daily deviate server newspaper, which is like a
Yes,
joint effort between Alliance and Horde, and that is like really great. Even for someone who doesn't necessarily I can still be somewhat informed of Horde events, and you can still be somewhat informed of Alliance events because we can read this and we get together as a community. And I think that's like a really great example of like people just realizing that we're all Warcraft fans, and it doesn't necessarily matter, whether we're Alliance or Horde. We're just people.
definitely. And shout out to Bacteria, by the way. So yeah, so you mentioned something about theory crafting.
Yeah. So I just think like that's part of the reason I play Paladins as a class. So I don't know like what your experience with Paladins is, but we can be all three. There's Holy, Prot, and Retribution.
Mm-hmm.
But in Classic, the paladins are really an unfinished class. In terms of like if you look at their talent tree, some things just don't make sense. You know, the abilities are kind of all over the place, and you know,
Mm-hmm.
it you have a lot of versatility, but you sacrifice, the amount of I guess power, I want to say, and just like raw, like focused ability upgrades that like a lot of other classes have.
So,
So
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
oh no, I was just gonna say, it costs a ton of gold to respec, and you see all these like mages that want to go like palm pyro for PvP, but then it's not good if you're doing this in MC because you're gonna do garbage damage. So they have to spend upwards of 50 to 100 gold per week if they want to switch between frost and fire.
Sure. And part of that theory crafting thing, I I've read somewhere that being a red pally, you used to be a red pally, right? Now you're heals.
Yeah,
O-
pretty much.
Okay, now that red pallies would combine like strength and spell powers, and is that is that the deal with that, or when you're a red
Yeah,
pally?
so you can be like a Speladin, which like is kind of like it's not really like a super respected spec, but you kind of like stack abilities, so you can do like Holy Shock and things like that. And you can also just like you're focusing spell power to increase the power of your judgments and stuff like that. I actually don't remember if it's exactly these. One of my friends was doing something with Holy Shock, which is the max. It's like the end talent thing for Holy Spec.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, I think a lot more people are just straight, like red, like with just focusing on increasing just like melee damage and things like that. That's also another struggle with paladins. It's just like ret paladins. Basically, you're just like you're fighting for all the same gear as like warriors and other melee DPS, except you're just strictly worse. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I think a lot of strength from paladins comes from the fact of the AOE damage. The only thing that I hate, as I said, like it's an unfinished class. We don't even have a taunt. You know, whereas like I would argue, I think we'd be like one of the best tanks in the game. If we had a taunt.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, we have to rely on
Damage and threat.
damage like consecrate, which is like our strongest ability, and that's why I really like this. Like I'm currently doing a 30-21 holy prot hybrid build, so I have 30 points in holy and
Mm-hmm.
I have 21 points in protection. And basically, what that focuses on is getting me the stats that I need to raid heal.
Mm-hmm.
So focusing on like stacking crit and other important things, so that I can get like free heals and basically never run out of mana. But then also I get abilities like Blessing of Sanctuary, which is really important for like dungeons and just I don't get Holy Shield, which is the end ability for protection, but I do get Blessing of Sanctuary, which is pretty much good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really nice because you're kind of focused, you're kind of forced to be PvP. You have to be healer, which is fine because that's what I should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So that made you change your spec to heals from red to heals. You never went tank or anything like that.
yeah, I went from red to heals just because we were running late on heals in our raid group.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and we needed someone to step up and do it, so I just decided to do it. I was really scared at first about I wasn't sure if I could do it, but there's so many resources out there, and it's not that bad because at the end of the day, you're just pretty much spamming Flash of Light. The only difference is what rank heal am I going to do? Am I going to do rank 1 Flash of Light or rank 2? And then Holy Light as well. Don't want to do a big heal or a little heal.
Sure.
That's what it comes down to.
As far as raiding, have you downed Onyxia, I assume?
Yep. We just I'm gonna give my shout out here to my guild.
Sure.
Shout out to Loot Goblins. You know, everyone there is really great. It's one of the best guilds. We're currently recruiting for raiding. We're looking for all roles. Especially to fill up for Black. But yeah, I just we've cleared Oni and we've done 10 out of 10 MC. We started out as a small group of friends that it was like 20 of us hitting up MC and getting thrashed at Lucifron and Magmadar. To right now we easily clear it in one night.
Sure. Now,
And it's a lot of fun.
now with Onyxia, how do you guys deal with the fear since you guys don't have shaman tremor totems?
Oh, sure. So we just have a priest. Mainly with the fear, we just stack like close to the. So it's the north side of the room and the south side of the room.
Mm-hmm.
On the side are two whelp pit. We basically during phase 3, after Oni comes down, we pull it up to the front of the room and we fear ward the tank. Everyone else, we try to move them up as far as possible without being in the flame breath range.
Mm-hmm.
And then they can get feared, but they never really get close enough to the whelp pits. It's if you're far enough back, you get feared into the whelp pits. But if you move up far enough, you're good. But basically, like how we handle with tanks is just we fear ward the tanks,
I see. Okay.
and the rest is just we get feared, and occasionally one like I'll need to like divine intervention, or it's sort of my ability, like it's my immunity ability. I need to do that sometimes because I need to heal the tank immediately because like the other heals got feared.
Sure. Yeah.
But other than that, it's that's basically what we do.
Yeah. And I don't remember quite much that we like how we handled the fear uh on any boss fights. But yeah, that's pretty cool, man. Like kind of hearing that from Alliance or on Alliance side to kind of explain the fights from your side. It's yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, it's a really neat fight, and one of the things I like is with my hybrid like holy prot build is sometimes like if I have enough armor rating that if I need to hold the whelps for a little bit, which is kind of cool, and I can heal as well,
Mhm.
which kind of helps. I'm sure like us on Alliance probably face a lot of the same problems as you do on Horde. Like power hungry DPS, like because like Oni's just like an entirely threat based fight. You
Mhm.
can't really taunt her. It's just like you got to smack her and make her. And a lot of people don't know when to fade or like feign death. They just pull Oni off the tank and everyone dies. That's like it's that and the flame whatever it is when she does in phase 2. She like does the flame wave or whatever. That's usually what kills people.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah. Those things sucks because like you mentioned, like people don't like even pay attention. Even a slight if people like went behind his leg area, they get tail swipe. They don't. People don't realize that.
Yeah, the fights are pretty easy.
Mm-hmm. So you're hybrid then? Do you respect?
Yeah, I can actually I sometimes off tank certain fights. Some nights like during the holidays, I'm sure like a lot of guilds face this. People went had to go home and do stuff and couldn't necessarily raid. So occasionally like I'll pop on some tank gear and I'll like off tank like Gar
Mm-hmm.
or like if we have trouble like if we need like the in Magmadar's cavern there's like the dogs. Sometimes I help tank that, and
Okay.
also I've helped tank on oh jeez Major Domo.
Major Domo. Yeah.
Yeah, Major Domo is a big one because you need like 4 tanks for that. Unless you're, I mean, some guilds, yes, they do like pull them all together in AOE, but that's usually a bit more risky,
Mm-hmm.
and we just like to play it safe. So
So where does the alliance like to hang out? Like as far as like a group area, like horde. We're everywhere, from Undercity to Orgrimmar. Really, like we just had a couple of events, RP events, and we do this fashion show thing,
okay,
and usually they gathered in Orgrimmar to do that. Do you have anything like similar like that? And if you guys do you join that kind of stuff? Do you like the idea of RP?
yeah, I absolutely adore RP. That's why we're on an RP PvP server, right? You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's a lot of fun. In terms of like where Alliance hang out, this is really interesting because I never realized it, but like Ironforge is pretty much like our home.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple people in Stormwind, but it's Ironforge because it's really nice because it's well positioned. It's close to Menethil Harbor, which is in the wetlands, which lets us get to Kalimdor, and then it's also really close to Thorium Point, which is the main place we get off to get to Molten Core
Mm-hmm.
and Blackrock Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's really where we like to hang out. And in terms of like RP, a lot of people like to hang out in Goldshire. It's really calm. That's one of the things I really like about Alliance is just the whole aesthetic. A lot of people like the rocks and sticks, and I don't mean to say that in it, like I'm not trying to insult the horde. It's just that's usually the aesthetic is just kind of more primitive
Mm-hmm.
and like warlike. It's like it's more fairy tale almost, or like It's it's just like cottages, and like Elwyn Forest is really peaceful, and a lot of people like hang out there. My guild, we like to go fishing, and basically what we'll do is we'll go start fishing in Goldshire, and we'll walk all the way down to Booty Bay, and we just like form a death ball and kill all the monsters and people who come in our way, and we fish along the way, which is really fun.
Sure. And for the opposite of that, I'd say is from the horde side. I think Torrents are the most peaceful race from the horde, because you see the Thunder Bluff. It's up there. If you see so the surrounding is like almost like a freaking uh, uh, utopian forest kind of. It's green. It's nothing like Mulgore, which is like all red and like deserty and like almost dying animals all over the place. But if you see Thunder Bluff, that area, it's the did I say Mulgore or I say
Yeah,
Durotar? Durotar, yeah. I
yeah,
meant
Durotar's,
Durotar. Yep,
yeah.
yep. That's the orc and troll side Durotar. But if you went to Mulgore, everything is all green and yeah, it looks nice. It looks peaceful. The Torrents know how to kind of build their own place and stay away from like anybody that might be in danger to them. It doesn't
Yeah,
it doesn't matter if it's like horde or alliance.
but like on your note of events that like Alliance holds, on the Discord, of course, the Deviate Delight Discord, they talk about a lot of stuff. I know recently there was a Stormwind Enchanter, so basically everyone got together in the Mages District of Stormwind, and they had a bunch of enchanters. So, you know, for some guilds, they don't necessarily have like the upper end enchantments like spell power, like healing power, or maybe things that require a lot of reputation resources, like
Mm-hmm.
the ones you can get from Thorian Brotherhood. So they had like all those enchanters out, and they could show their services. They've had like a bunch of dueling events like outside of, I'm sure you have dueling events outside Orgrimmar. We have events outside Stormwind Gates and Ironforge.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen a lot of stuff. It's cool. I in retail I used to do a lot of RP, and one of my favorite things we used to do were like expedition role playing, because like in retail, you have like 300% flying speed for your mounts. So what you kind of see of the world is like very high up in the sky. You're going very fast, or like most days like you have a teleport everywhere, so you don't need to really travel like you do in Classic.
Sure, yeah.
But I used to like role playing where we just like would walk from like one edge of Eastern Kingdoms to the other, or like one edge of Kalimdor. We'd go from like uh Stone Talon Mountains down to like old Silithus or something like that, and we would like make some story up that we're like this expedition bringing a package down or something. And it was really cool. It took a while, but it's really cool because like that's part of the reason I really like WoW is it's such a big world, and like you kind of lose sight of that in like retail, and that's why I really love Classic, because it kind of forces you to travel. You can port everywhere, or you can port to the main cities, but to get a lot of places you gotta run,
Sure, yeah.
or fly using the flight pass, and it's a lot slower, which is nice in its own right. That's kind of one of the things like I'm like not so happy about for BC is like we're gonna get flying, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm like I think flying really makes the world a lot smaller, even though it allows for more transportation. It's just you stop putting an effort to get places.
Mm-hmm. So is that official then? It's are we definitely getting retail BC, or is it nobody knows it yet? It's something about Classic Plus. Do you think that's gonna come up?
I I don't think they've confirmed anything yet, but it just seems like the obvious choice based on resources, because Classic Plus, at the point of like when they're making Classic Plus, like it's like WoW 2 at that point. It's like they're just becoming two different games. And not to say that they already aren't, like they're kind of already kind of are two different games, but I think it would fracture the player base more than they'd like.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I don't think we'll hear anything this year, because if they say Shadowlands comes out by the end of 20, or by year end 2020, it's probably going to be like November or December.
Mm-hmm.
So odds are next BlizzCon they're probably just going to focus on Shadowlands. We might hear something, but I don't think they'll want to say too much, because it might detract from Shadowlands, which I think is like their big thing. They want to be really popular, and that's one of the things I really like about Classic is just I feel like so much more relaxed, and it's not stressed because it's a game at the end of the day.
Mhm.
I mean, people will say whatever they want to, but it's just a game, you know.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and some people out there, even though if it's a game, if they care about a game, it makes it part of their life. Because I think this game for me, even though it's let's say it's a game, well, it is a game, but for me, I kind of made connection with this type of hobby, and it's not even like it's more than a game for me now. It's nothing like like a musical instrument that you pick up or anything like that.
Yeah.
People get attached to that, but I definitely put it in that level, maybe like a little lower.
Yeah, and when I talk about it being a game, like I don't mean to put that in a lighthearted way, like it's just something to like or in a non-serious way, as it's something just to throw to the side. I just mean I think it's just something to keep in context, to be nice to people, and like it's definitely all a big part of our lives. I'm sure, and I would say even more so because they care about their specific server community.
Sure, yeah.
Deviate Delight,
Hmm.
and yeah, it's just yeah, and like I definitely see a lot of this, like it's with the rank 14 grind, for
Oh
like
yeah,
it's like people are just like it's really cool, but like what I mean when it's just a game, it's just like don't sacrifice your health
oh
just
yeah,
to
yeah,
get like to, as one of my friends used to put this in a crude way, but dress up your virtual dolly, you know.
yeah. Sure, yeah.
It's like it's just like I think like it's just people got to keep it in context, and try to understand that like it's like AV should just be something for fun and not something that you should sit in AFK just so you can get an epic weapon. Because a lot of people are like, I think this is a big thing. Is so many people are like destination oriented in their thinking,
Hmm.
whereas they're like so focused on getting something like being fully raid geared, or like having the PvP epic weapons or things like that, where they like, but they're not really enjoying like the journey to get there, which is really like what Classic is about. It's like your whole gameplay experience is not when you have the whole set of raid gear or things like that. It's like your play experience was when you were in those greens and blues, going to MC and wiping with your friends and
Yeah.
teammates.
And do you believe in karma at all?
Yeah, I do.
And this always happens to me. Like, maybe it's just in my thought, but today I was going around here in Badlands, and I saw this night elf hunter or night elf druid, right? So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna I'm gonna kill this druid. So I went there and ganked him, right? He had 25% health, and all of a sudden this two alliance was just striding towards me. They didn't even know what's going on at first, but they kind of looked and like glanced and like, oh, we gotta help this druid. So I had this kind of this fast thinking to kind of run away. So I vanished and ran away. So I'm like, damn it, this always fucking happens. So it's like, I that's pretty awesome, man. That part right there, it's exciting to me because that means that players in here care about like other players in here, especially in the same faction. They're willing to help each other, but damn it, he had 25% health. I could have had him. I could have just kept going. I just could, man. I didn't want to risk it because that happens all the time to me where I just kind of like ignore that, and it's just like, oh, maybe I can use my dodge, my evasion, but and most of the time they end up like being a caster, so it's like, fuck, I'm dead.
Yeah. So one question I have for you then,
Hmm.
you know, when you're out in world PvP and you see like two players like in a horde and alliance going at it 1v1, do you help your horde fellow horde, or do you just like respect the 1v1 and like let them duke it out even if your like own faction's gonna die?
That's a good question. Well, in my experience and my rogue, I've never seen a 1v1 so far. It's usually like a high level and a low level going at it. But I'll tell you though, I was I think I wasn't here the same in Badlands. I seen one alliance that I think he's like level 43 or something, but I was like level 40. I was just questing here. I think I was waiting for a group for Ulduman run, right? So he approaches me and he did a bow So I'm like, oh, I know what this guy wants. He wants to duel. So I did bow, and then we dueled. He ended up killing me, but he waited for me just to kind of wave goodbye to me. So I'm just kind of like, oh, that's the coolest thing I've ever like experienced in this game, because
Hmm.
like people like Alliance normally don't do that. Like they just want to kill me.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of cool like cross faction moments. I don't know if you've been following this, but like online, I saw they documented So you know how like when you pop an Ixia head, it's like a 6 hour cooldown. Like you can't do it anymore after that.
Yeah, yeah.
But you can like abuse that, and basically, if you have an opposite faction, priest come to your major city and mind control the quest giver, your faction can kill the quest giver, and you can reset the Oni head.
Okay.
So basically, there were these like big like I saw this on Reddit. There were these big gatherings where like they would send like an alliance envoy to Orgrimmar to like mind control the whoever you turn your Oni head into,
Oh, that's
and
crazy.
they would kill they would kill their quest giver, and then it would reset the Oni head, and they'd get another drop. And they did the same thing with like I think on like Fairlina or whatever, they had like
Sure. Yeah.
some horde come to Stormwind to kill to mind control Bolvar, and everyone killed Bolvar and got to get the head again, or they got the head again, which I thought
The,
was really funny.
does the buff stack?
I don't think it stacks, but it can
Okay.
refresh, I think.
Okay. Yeah, that's nuts, man. Cause like I bet that we would do the same for the alliance then if they ask for it. It's kind of like quid pro quo. So it's
Yeah.
that's kind of neat actually. What's the spawn time on quest giver? It's like 10 minutes.
I think it's pretty quick. Yeah, it definitely is like quick enough to justify doing it. It's just the hard part is like getting that person all the way into the center of your city without one person killing them, because like yeah, you can say in trade chat don't kill this person, but there's still like probably 5 people who just aren't going to give a shit about what you're saying, and he'll try to kill any
Yeah.
person that comes into the city.
But then they would probably get chewed up by their guild leaders or whatever, because like, oh, leave them alone, like I'm not gonna leave them alone. I don't care if you kick me. It's
Yeah,
it's part of the game.
yeah. I
I could see people doing that.
I think one thing in regards to that is like I don't know. I've seen this on Alliance, especially on Deviate Delight. It's like people get so up in arms about the Oni buff. Like it's just like some guilds, like upper end guilds, and I'm not gonna like shout out anyone or like call out anyone, but
Hmm.
it's just like they say like, oh, the Onyxia buff belongs to us because we raid at a certain time. Like
Oh
we
wow.
all play this game, and like I just genuinely don't think that like the Oni buff belongs to your guild, or like that
Yeah.
you have some special right to it.
Hmm.
Not to mention like maybe in Blackwing Lair it's gonna be a bigger deal, but like come on, like MC and Oni, like you don't need the Oni buff to do it. It makes it a bit nicer and faster, sure, but like you don't need it to do it.
Yeah.
And
Especially like what are they gonna say if it's a pug, like pug
yeah,
groups, like it's like I'm gonna do this. Some guy won the Oni head. Do, walking down in this hall of Stormwind, about to spike up the Oni head, and then after he does it, it's like, what the hell happened? Like, oh, I'm just a random guy. So it's like, what
yeah,
are they gonna do with that guy then? Like, are they gonna
yeah.
punish him for? Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, man.
Not to get off into a side tangent too much, a lot of people reminisce about like what Classic was and like how they want it to be the same. But the thing is, WoW Classic was never the same game it was in 2005.
Hmm.
From the minute we started talking about it and theory crafting on Reddit and the WoW forums and things like that, it was a completely different game because it had already come and passed. And I wish like more people would genuinely just accept it as a different game and like try to think of like new things, or just be willing to accept more new things and new strategies rather than just like lamenting about what it was and why it should be that.
Hmm. The thing about classic for me, vanilla, that I miss so much is the 40-man raid, and I can do it
Yeah,
again. That's for me like raiding on that part. It gives my position back into where I was before. Where back then it was worse because I pretty much played all day, and now that I can control myself more, I have the option to do it on a specific time, by finding the right guild and the right moment to raid, and putting a couple hours here and there. I don't have to sit here stuck on a chair trying to level to 116 in 3 days, which is probably impossible. And also, do you PvP then? Do you do BGs?
I do a few. I've hit up Alterac Valley and Warsong Gulch. I really like those.
Mhm.
I'm personally more of an Arathi Basin person. That's always been like my favorite. So
Yeah, I
I'm really
can't wait
excited
for
for.
that, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be nuts. And what's your rank right now?
Oh, I'm just like a corporal. I haven't had the chance because so I've been doing a bit. I haven't really hit that AV grind to get exalted
Sure.
for the gear. I just have done a few and I do it really on and off.
Who's the highest rank in the alliance so far? And what's the rank?
I don't know. I definitely think some people are probably rank 11 or rank 12. I don't think 13. I think rank 12 is like knight. It's like knight something or general. I forget exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing. I think they've been doing that on the server newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like they've been talking about who the highest rank is. I
Oh,
haven't heard a lot of
okay.
talk like in terms of alliance. Like there hasn't been a lot of talk about like who the highest ranked person is or like you know I just think like I've noticed people in Iron like in Iron Forge like I think a lot of people want to flex. Of course, I see all those people with like their sulfuruses on the bridge in Iron Forge,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
I see the same with people who are high PvP ranks, which I think is cool. Good
Mm-hmm.
for them.
Mm-hmm. And you talking about a hand of Sulfaris, hand of Ragnaros?
Yeah, yep, yeah, and yeah, no, this was really great. I just thank you so much for giving me the time to come on and talk, and I just really love doing this, and I'm pretty passionate about the game, and I just it's really cool just to get to sit down and talk with another fan. So thanks.
Definitely, man. And yeah, this is it. I'm gonna call this a night, and
Very
I'll
cool.
talk to you later, man.
On so cool.
Okay, man. Have a good night.
All right. See ya.